And we are live. Hello, my name is Tyree Simon.
Elijah Jones.
This is MMA Renegade episode 17. Elijah, it's been a long time. How are you doing, sir?
I am doing okay on this day. I snuck out yesterday during the quarantine to go hang out with friends, and it was fun. Should I have done it? No. But were we at a place where we all had masks? So did we all have masks? Yes. Interesting part was everyone else we were around did not, and that was the crazy part. So that was interesting. But it was a good time out. I got some fresh air. I'm doing fine though. It's another beautiful Sunday again. A little chilly. How's your day going? I see you're outside.
Yeah, man, I'm enjoying the sun a little bit. Near my house, not going anywhere too far. Because there is people, and we both live in New York, where it's like the most dangerous at, and people
not one of not even one of the just the. Let's just call a spade, brother.
When two of the boroughs have the most confirmed cases of coronavirus, it is. But yeah, I see people outside, some of them not wearing masks, walking around and not wearing gloves, and just listen. I just try to do my best, try to do my part.
Worry about worry about yourself and protect yours, and then the rest should follow.
But yeah, man, this has been a long time. We have been a long time without doing the show because we've had no fights to cover.
It's been weird. It's been hard. I'm not really a big basketball guy or football guy, but all sports are done. But UFC is it for me. It's that's the sport I look forward to watching on a Saturday night, or if whether it's pay-per-view or regular on ESPN Plus. So it's interesting to have UFC back in the capacity that it's been.
Yeah, I mean, the last 8 days it seems like we've had UFC 249. We've had UFC Fight Night 171, right? And we had UFC Fight Night yesterday, 172.
Yep.
All right, so Elijah, without further ado, why don't you introduce us to the show?
Let's start it off. Last Saturday on May 13th, what we had was Wednesday. On Wednesday, the 13th, that's a Saturday. Messed that up. But on Wednesday, we had Fight Night in Jacksonville Arena because we know Jacksonville is where the UFC is starting to have all their promotions and a non-sold-out arena. This was one of their, this is the second time they put on a show. The main event was Glover Teixeira versus Anthony Smith. And this was a very, very, very good card. One of the very we haven't had one in a while, so the standard is having to put cards or what we remember they used to be like is we got to remember that feeling. But after UFC 249, UFC Fight Night, this Fight Night in Jacksonville, Florida, didn't fail. I think it was a very good card. I think the headliner was what surprised a lot of people, and it made a lot of headway in terms of news and on social media. The fight was Glover Teixeira again versus Anthony Lionheart Smith, and the winner by TKO was Glover Teixeira. Now, Tyrese, fill us in on this fight.
Yeah, to me, it was very interesting to see, right? And I think we'll tie this in also to the Walt Harrison and Overeem fight as well, where Anthony Smith was very amped up. You could see going into the fight. You see the whole entire night he was talking about the home invasion that he had, that's unfortunate. That was failed. It was thwarted, and the guy ended up running away. But it was still a scary experience. And it seemed like that was the theme of the entire night. The UFC and ESPN was constantly telling you that Anthony Smith went through this moment in time, and that he's coming in here with a lot of emotions. He even said that he has no fear. He's going in there, and it's going to be different. And I think that is what hurt him a bit. Now, follow me with this. In the fight, he comes in. He's super amped. He's pumped up. The first round, he is active as he could be. He's popping
probably the active we've seen him in a fight. Honestly, probably the most active we've seen him in a fight to date. I don't think we've ever seen him with that kind of large volume and output, which honestly looked pretty impressive.
No, it looked good. And he was stance switching as well. He was popping the jab. He was throwing up. He was throwing body kicks too, lead front kicks. He was doing a really, really good job. And it seemed like Glover Teixeira was just trying to find the timing and trying to just get in the groove, because while also being an empty arena, you also have your coaches there, and the coaches are constantly telling you instructions, and it's very audible, so you can actually hear what the coaches are saying to you. So every time the coach of Anthony Smith would say an instruction, Anthony would just do it.
Which is a testament to his skill, right? You know, it's hard to like kind of, and one, obviously in an arena it's hard to hear your coaches, but and when it comes down to an arena where there's no people and you're still trying to implement a game, if your coaches can yell out like a 1-2 or 3-2 or you know, some type of key phrase, or you know what I'm saying, and then the fighter can, you know, kind of actually just implement it right then and there, it's pretty impressive feat. But as you're saying, as we go into round two, we see the difference.
Yeah, we've seen the difference with Glover Teixeira as well. Glover Teixeira seemed like he found his groove. He found comfortable in that moment. His corner was not telling him a lot. You could hear Anthony Smith's corner loud, audibly, but Glover Teixeira's corner was very, very quiet, letting him do his thing. And you see Glover Teixeira make adjustments. And he just happened to make great counters. Anthony Smith still looked good in the second round, but he seemed a little bit slower in going to the second round. Glover Teixeira was actually able to use his head movements for some of them. Glover Teixeira did take some shots, and in the first round, I thought Glover Teixeira's gonna be in trouble. Second round, same thing, but it seemed like he was able to roll with his punches a little bit more.
Yeah, it seemed the head movement finally caught up with the Anthony Smith slowing down. You also see Glover Teixeira slip, or if he gets hit, roll with it back. You know, roll with it, go with the shot. And so that was one of the more interesting facts about round two, and especially in round three is where you start to see Glover Teixeira start to land a lot more often. Than, you know, he's pressing forward and he's following up combinations, you know, 1-2 or 2-3, or you know, he starts to push Anthony Smith back, and then from there you see the total shift in momentum. You know, that's where you see Glover Teixeira kind of just take over for the fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Glover Teixeira just in the third round just puts it on Anthony Smith, able to count. I think he clipped him, if I'm not mistaken, behind the ear.
I know he clipped him with a shot. I think the left.
One was the uppercut.
Yeah, the uppercut, devastating. You know what's actually interesting, right? We made this analysis before and after the first round. We were saying how this fight kind of in the beginning somewhat similar to the Gustafsson fight in Glover Teixeira, right? Because the footwork that Anthony Smith had was, you know, it wasn't like super like crazy, but it was very technical. He stood, he didn't just stay in front of him. He hit him, boom, move, hit him, boom, caught him, hit him. You know, but as we said before, he fell in love with hitting him. You know, he thought it seemed like he wanted to get him out in that first round, which, you know, it's possible because Anthony Smith's got the skill, but the experience that Glover Teixeira had just carried him for the rest of the rounds, to be honest with you. And then going into from round three, where Glover Teixeira started hitting him and hurting him, I think it was the end of the round, correct? And then in round four is when he actually got him down and started hitting him. And it was like, wait a minute. Glover Teixeira caught him with some nasty uppercuts. I mean,
and the counters was really good too. The counters.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and it's interesting, right? Because it didn't take many, if we're being honest, right? I wouldn't even say he did pick his shots and he knew what to do as the fight went further, but it didn't take as much volume as it would have for Anthony Smith. Like Anthony Smith was doom, you know, tapping him elbows. So good elbows in there too. Maybe I think I saw a knee at one point, and a couple of head kicks. They didn't land flush, but they, you know, they'll still hurt when you block. And so it's interesting to see that Glover Teixeira doesn't need to almost put on all that volume, but if he hits you, it's pretty certain you're going down.
And physically looked good too. Like Glover Teixeira in the last couple of fights that he looks physically good.
He does. What is he, almost 40 or at 40?
I think he's at 40.
He's at 40. He looks pretty solid. And I think the main difference was between this fight and just, you know, we were drawing similarities with the Gustafsson fight. I think the Gustafsson fight, he had either had a long layoff or something had happened to him, and that's what kind of like got him into a position where he just wasn't training as much or not. But this fight, I think Glover, he weathered the storm. That first round I was like, dang, he's getting tagged, and you could see the damage on his face. But Glover, after that first round, that second round, he picked it up, and I was pretty impressed. And so, of course, again, we said that this fight ended in the fifth round, but you want to go ahead and give your analysis of that fifth round too?
Yeah, so also, Glover Teixeira is 40. He turns 41 in October.
See, that's what I'm saying. The guy, you know, he's solid.
Yeah, listen, I thought the third round, Glover Teixeira obviously won that one.
Yeah.
By the end of the fourth round, it was continuing to see like Anthony Smith is not going to win this fight. You see his nose is busted up. You see that. You see that, you know, I believe it was at the end of the fourth, not the third, but the end of the fourth. You hear him just talk to his corner. Sorry, and say that he lost his teeth.
And for those who don't know, Anthony Smith actually has veneers. So it wasn't that he lost his real teeth. He lost the teeth.
He lost the real teeth.
I think his fake tooth, his fake teeth, one of them came out. I don't think it was both of them. I'll Google it right now.
From what he said, from his own admission of what happened, it was his own teeth.
I know he said it was hard. He said it was hard to keep his mouthpiece in. And I don't know. I'm reading here. I've read on social media, and I'm reading some articles and all that. He did lose teeth. I don't know how many. But he does. His corner came out and said that he does have veneers, and so and realistically, that's probably the first teeth to go. If he did lose teeth, that's what happened. But I'm seeing here in a few I guess articles that he did lose teeth, but they're not specific on whether or not it was his actual teeth or if it was his veneers.
Yeah,
he does have a few fake teeth, and this is expected. I don't think a lot of people know that Dan Henderson actually his two front teeth. I think Dan Henderson he doesn't have those anymore, and so a lot of people don't realize that there's a few people in the sport who just don't they lose teeth to the game. That's just what happens. It's just what rolling with this guy in jiu-jitsu, and I put that on everything. I thought my one of my front teeth fell out. It hurts. I got kneed by accident so bad. It just was like, whoa.
Yeah, I was trying to look because he did tweet it. I did see a tweet from him that said, all the injuries that he had from his fight, and it just seems like it's not here anymore. It seems like he took it down. Sorry.
But anywho, he did lose teeth. I guess the distinction can be found out later. But he definitely handed Jason Herzog the tooth. He definitely handed Jason Herzog the tooth that fell out his mouth, which is again a testament to how tough this guy really is. But he suffered some pretty bad injuries. He had a broken nose, if I'm not mistaken, a broken orbital, a cut on his right cheek or something like that. It was and two missing teeth. I have it here. Ariel Helwani said it's two missing teeth, but again, the clarification isn't whether or not those. Oh wait, one tooth in front and one towards the back. He said his real teeth. Never mind. It is.
Yeah,
there it is.
That's what I thought.
Dang.
So that's also very. Well, I want to say it's a tale of two things, right? The coaches says one thing, but Anthony Smith says another. And it seemed like the coaches and Anthony Smith were not in sync of what was going on, because at the end of the fourth round, you see Anthony Smith visibly look like he does not want to fight again. Anthony Smith is not going to want to quit. He's not going to give up. But it seemed like the coaches did not see that Anthony Smith was not fit to fight anymore. And they just let him go back out there, even though he's saying, listen, I lost my teeth. You see his nose busted open. He's not willing to fight at all. You see his body language, and they still have him go out there and fight.
Yeah, this is what you call the live by the sword, die by the sword mentality, right? Which is to a fight. If you were a fighter and and at the end, I think it was the fourth round or the fifth round, he for I think maybe 10 strong seconds, he landed an overhand and then a crazy inside elbow, and it was like, whoa, and Glover actually stepped back. But then after that, there was nothing. That was like you could see that second win done. As soon as that happened, just there was nothing he could offer more. So, and to be honest with you, I think it was Jason Herzog stopped it. It could have been stopped in the fourth round, in my opinion. Yes. I do think I think his corner could have done the talent in, but again, it's the fight mentality. I really do hope he doesn't suffer crazy, issues from this. I hope it doesn't delay him long. But if he did, it's a learning lesson for him and the team. Again, still should have been stopped in the fourth round. But again, I'm not a fighter, so I can't sit here and say live by this. I can't be like, oh, I live by the sword, die by the sword mentality. If I'm not if I haven't dedicated my life, but and if I was it probably should have been stopped in the fourth. There was a lot of damage. That it was bad. It was bad.
No, I agree. I don't think he needs to be a fighter to understand that Anthony Smith was not going. How the pace looked, how the momentum was. Yeah, it didn't give any hope that Anthony was going to win that fight. It was just going to get worse and worse and worse from there.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. That was just the biggest thing. And Herzog did the smart thing, stepping in. I think Anthony Smith was on the cage. I don't think he stopped it on the ground, right? Did he stop it on the cage? I think it got to a point where they got back up for some reason, and then I could be wrong. I could be thinking about this, but that's what I thought happened. I think he stopped it while he's like, "Well, wait a minute, this is done." So again, impressive performance by Teixeira. I don't know who he fights right now. I think he takes a step back. I think we also need to put a little more respect on his name and let a lot of people know that he's still a legitimate contender in terms of the light heavyweight scene.
Yeah, this is his fourth fight in a row. This is fourth fight in a row.
He's stringing it together.
He beat Carl Robinson. He beat
Sure. That was short notice. I think that was a good fight because he submitted him. I think the first round.
Carl Robinson.
Yeah, that was a good fight.
Nikita Krylov.
That was a good fight. That's Nikita's been looking really great since he's gotten back in the UFC.
And he beat Anthony Smith.
Yeah. So top contenders.
Yeah. He's right in there. And him being Anthony Smith does lead to maybe one or two more fights. And if he wins those, he's possibly
good fights. I could see him against a guy like Corey Anderson. I wouldn't mind seeing him against Corey Anderson.
Rematch. That'd be a rematch,
right? I'd be interested in that. And now we have last night's card going forward. UFC last night was in again Jacksonville, Florida, because that's the only place that's actually open for sporting events. And our main, I know. Listen, we'll see. We'll see how the time goes. I think Arizona is coming up. No, I think Arizona is supposed to be the next big place. And I know Dana was talking about, hey, like let's get it done. So last night we had Alistair Overeem versus Walt Harris. And just a little background, given the situation, Walt Harris had recently lost his stepdaughter in unfortunate circumstances, and he's going to have a 30 for 30 soon. And I think that if you want to take it away on that, Tyrese, if you want to talk a little bit about that, we saw one Fight Night 176.
Yeah, so I believe it already did like a short 30 for 30. I don't know if they're gonna do it. Yeah, they probably will.
I think they're gonna air it. They're gonna air it soon. I think that's the goal.
Yeah. But I think the production last night, just talking about Walt Harris and the unfortunate story of Anaya Blanchard, it was really touching. I texted you and I said, man, I'm rooting so bad for Walt Harris. Just knowing the story, even before watching the clips from last night, I wanted him to win so bad because it's not a feel good story per se, but it will just feel right at that moment. And I hope that family heals. And just happiness goes to them, through all this time.
I couldn't imagine, but I wish healing and blessings for that family, because it's an unfortunate story, if I'm being honest with you. Very unfortunate.
It's really even hard to say in words, because I'm not a parent, you're not a parent, so I could only imagine what they're going through, and then to just have the courage to want to step out in the public face and tell that story, and then also to compete again,
Yeah, I agree. To compete again, Tyrese. It's rough. It's rough. But he did it. And again, shout out to Walt Harris, my man. I have been a fan since, I believe, what was the fight where he took the guy out in like 30 seconds?
That's his last couple of fights.
That's his last, right? His last couple of fights haven't lasted the first round. I believe it was Sergey Spivak. I remember watching that because that was my boy Cowboy fought on that card versus Aikinta. I remember watching that card. I was like, he got all fucking hands. But it was good. It was what?
I said that. Then he followed up with being Olenek in 12 seconds,
who just beat Verdum. So it's like, how good, this guy Walt is a name. He's big ticket's a name in a heavyweight. And so with the results of last night, Alistair Overeem actually won second round via TKO, head kick that ended it, and then a follow-up with punches on the ground. Tyrese, if you want to give your in-depth analysis again.
Yeah, so with this fight, again, tying in the Anthony Smith and Walt Harris situation, and that they're not similar at all, but you just see the UFC talking about the issues would happen constantly throughout the middle of the night, right? And to me, it seemed like also the fighters themselves were amped up to get in there and to fight again. Anthony Smith has been out for a while. He had a situation. He came to the octagon very, very emotional, very pumped up. You see him in the first round, just active. Same thing almost with Walt Harris. For obvious reasons, very emotional for everybody that's watching. And he seemed very, very, very much like it. Like whatever he was going through and everything, like he tried to put into that fight. And you see him in the first couple of minutes of the fight, he hurt. Overeem. He almost got Overeem out of there.
He did. I mean, he cracked him.
Yeah, and it seemed like he put everything into stopping Overeem, and then when Overeem was able to recover from that, I'm telling you this, after you've seen Overeem get up, because he was ground and pound, he was stopping the takedowns. Overeem tried to go for the legs. He stopped that takedown beautifully. And then when they eventually got back up, you see Walt take a deep breath, and the body language changed, and the punches that he threw after that were labored that led into a front kick. And the front kick just wasn't there, and Overeem was just able to take him down from there.
Yeah, I agree up until the part where you're like, I just don't know if that's all he had in that moment. I don't know if I wouldn't say he gassed, if anything. But what was interesting about that fight was when Alistair's recovery was actually pretty impressive, because he did get clipped. He was taking some big shots, and I rewatched the fight. Walt did dump a lot in trying to finish him, which is probably the goal for every single fight. Yeah, right. But then what changed actually was, in my opinion, was when Walt got to the ground. I think that was that. I think when he got to the ground and Alistair Overeem was actually able to show that he has a ground game. And the experience that Alistair Overeem had over Walt was there, because if you notice he actually tagged Alistair Overeem to get him to the other side of the octagon, and then the follow up with the push kick, it just wasn't as coordinated as it probably. I don't know. It looked like a slip, in my opinion, right? And then Alistair Overeem capitalized because he just moved him to the side almost. And then once Walt Harris went down, Alistair Overeem quickly tried to get on his back, and it quickly waited on him. Was able to land some really good shots. Some were big, some didn't land fully, but he was able to keep him there, hold him there. And then the same thing happened again in terms of fighting the takedown in round 2. And that's what I think that the ability to go from the striking, and implement a wrestling game was what really secured the win for Alistair Overeem and made Walt Harris tired. Because in the second round, you saw him when he was on his back, and he had tried to seatbelt almost, or at least he had grabbed Walt Harris's right wrist from the opposite side, and he held that down while he put pressure, and Walt Harris was unable to answer and protect with only one arm. He tried to keep his shoulder up to protect himself, but it didn't work. And then eventually he got the TKO, and then Alistair took his back, flattened him out, and then got the TKO.
Yeah, I agree with you to a certain extent. That the ground game definitely played a factor. But again, me watching, I'll probably watch it again. But to me, when you look at Alistair when he gets up and Walt Harris is putting everything into finishing him, doing ground and pound, hitting Overeem as well. Don't get me wrong. He was hitting him. Overeem was in trouble. Overeem was able to withstand everything, was able to get back up. And then again, just for me looking at it, it seemed like you see Walt Harris take a deep breath, and he tries to throw a couple of punches, and they're not there. And then Walt Harris goes for a front kick. The front kick misses Overeem completely. It goes towards he actually hits the fence, and Overeem's able to sweep him from there. Sorry.
We're like this. I remember when he threw the kick, and Overeem just was like whoop. Like I think
he grabbed his neck and tried to bring it down with him. Yes.
Yeah. I think that. Yeah. I mean, hey, it could be both.
Round. And then the second round, you see Walt Harris, and he's breathing deep. One of the things that I liked in the first round, was doing feints. He wasn't necessarily trying to throw jabs. He was throwing feints and just trying to get Overeem to react to it, and which led to him hurting Overeem as well. But in the second round, Overeem got the timing down, and he was able to counter. He was able to just stay patient. And Walt Harris is trying to flick the jab and trying to get something going, but Overeem is not biting on it. And then Overeem is able to throw the head kick, and that was it.
That head kick was very. I mean, it was good to see from a heavyweight, but also I expect things like that from. I mean, you could tell me if I'm wrong. I expect things like that from Alistair because he's such a high level striker.
Yes.
I mean, it was phenomenal to see a heavyweight because you don't get to see a lot of head kick knockouts all the time. But that's something Alistair probably can do without any sweat. You know what I mean? That brother can probably he can whip head kicks if he wants because he's that just good of a striker. So again, I think that was a great win for Alistair. I think Walt is not done. I think he needs to go to the drawing board. He has a really good game. He has a really good game. Very, very, very high boxing. So I'd like to see who he fight next if he takes a little time off.
I do think this is not the end of Walt Harris, and I think listen, for him to even come back to fight now is a testament. It's a victory in itself. You know, to have the courage again to come to public face and to tell the story, which I think it hit everybody. It hit everybody, even if you don't have a kid, it hits you. And I think that one of the things that I did like, he said he's going to come back stronger. He also said that him and Overeem may train in the future. So
I think that's a good solid.
Yes. I think there's a lot. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, sorry. Yeah, you said there's a lot. You're right. I was going to say, I agree. I don't even know what you're going to say, and I agree with you.
No, I said that there's a lot of things you've seen in this fight, which if you can polish a little bit more and work on a little bit more, takedown defense is also a part of that. And especially with a striker like Overeem, has experience. I think that does well for Walt Harris. I think he's so athletic and so explosive that if he can just put two or three things together, I think he can be a champion.
I do too. I've been bragging about this guy. I said he's someone you should look out for. And I think in my heart of hearts, I think he's 6'5" too. That's also really big. I don't know if he's like a true one. Like he's probably, how much did he weigh for the fight? 250 something around there. I
think it was 264.
Damn, he is a big boy. Never mind. I was gonna say, I feel like if he wanted to go down to 205, he could, but like I wouldn't want him there. He's happy and he's healthy at the heavyweight. And I think as an athlete and fighter, he has it. He just needs more experience, in my opinion. That's it. And he fought someone. Some may argue that this was too soon, and that's understandable, very understandable. Right. But for Walt Harris, with someone of his caliber, I think he's only going to get better, in my opinion. And so I think a guy like Alistair right now, he may beat you, but it's what you learn from these moments, right? So moving forward, I think we're just going to see better from Walt Harris. Whenever he decides to pick in an octagon, we're going to see what he learned from the Alistair Overeem fight, plus what he's been bringing along, and then all these fights in under a minute. I
agree. I think he has a high ceiling still. Let me ask you this. Let's go into these next two fights, right? Because they both ended in we'll say controversial decisions. Angela Hill versus Claudia Gadelha, and we'll tie in Edson Barboza versus Danny Ige. Now you have Edson Barboza winning, beating Danny Ige. I have Danny Ige winning. Why do you have Edson Barboza?
I have Edson Barboza, one, because he dropped him in round 2, so that secured round 2 for him. Ige came out phenomenally in the first round, right? But I think the third round, there wasn't much difference from, except for the last, say this, you started to see Ige just kind of going for it and trying to get volume. But I think a lot of the shots that he threw, they were loud, but they weren't landing as much as they were in the first round, in my opinion. I think he was the way he caught Barboza a lot clean in the first round was a lot different than the way he was catching him and tagging him in the third round. I think what Barboza was able to do was keep the same pace almost from the end of round 2 to round 3. But I don't think it was as much as Barboza clearly should have won. It was such a close fight, but I did have Barboza winning round 3. And for the Claudia Gadelha versus Angela Hill, after that first round where Angela Hill got taken down and then controlled for the remaining of the round, which there wasn't a lot of big shots, but she picked and chose her shots, which is smart of Claudia Gadelha. I think Angela Hill not only stepped it up in round 2, but was able to show in round 3 it's her game. So I think it was good. It was really good. And I think Claudia Gadelha lost that fight.
Yeah, I think we're not going to disagree there. I think Claudia Gadelha won. I mean, Angela Hill beat Claudia Gadelha. I think round 2 and 3 were clearly for Hill. But Edson Barboza and Danny Ige, the thing about Edson Barboza was that he had the bigger shots, the more powerful shots, but Danny Ige was a lot faster, able to land on him a little bit more, and that was the difference. The difference is in round 2 and 3 was the fact that Dan Ige was able to go through the punches. Edson Barboza was trying to throw one big shot, and Dan Ige was trying to throw 5.
The thing was, I agree. The volume was hard, but again, the 5 land is the question. He threw 5, and you heard 5, but the 5 didn't. All 5 didn't land. But solid fight, solid performance. I think it was such a good fight.
But also, Dan Ige was also landing to the body as well. So you're not gonna see some of the headshots that Dan Ige did, but you definitely see the body shots.
I think what hurts
Dan Ige won that fight. Yeah.
I think what hurts Edson sometimes is that he does pick his shots.
Yes.
He tends to wait. He does tend to wait. But when he caught Ige, he almost finished him in the second round, in my opinion.
Yeah.
There was a few moments where he caught really good body shots. So, all in all, impressive fight. Impressive fight.
Yeah, I'm not. I think Dan Ige won, but I don't think it's. This is the end of Edson Barboza. I actually do like him at featherweight.
Oh, no. Same.
I think just learn from this. Just work on the timing a little bit. Maybe be a little bit more active with the kicks as well.
Yeah.
And I think Edson Barboza can be a big player in the featherweight division. As for the strawweight fight between Angela Hill and Claudia Gadelha, I don't understand how Claudia Gadelha won that fight. Especially when you look back at that fight again, 2 and 3 were all Hill. She had more significant strikes in round 2 and round 3 than Claudia Gadelha.
Yeah. I don't know. I really can't. I have no idea how they ruled that. I can hear you. I have no idea how they ruled that, and to this day, I'll still think that's a mystery.
Yeah, I love Angela Hill striking in this. She showed great, not just the strike, but also the defense. She's able to roll with the punches, the footwork too, able to get out of the way of Claudia Gadelha's punches. She would try. I just
want to tell you the fight metrics. Real quick, Angela Hill landed 43 of 78, and in the last round, and Claudia Gadelha landed 34 of 92. So again, I still don't see how she lost.
Yeah,
but her awkward. It wasn't awkward, crazy, but it was the stacking in and out and cutting angles. Team Alliance, I think she's who she trains with. Did you not see shades of Dominic Cruz in there with the head drop and all that?
I did.
Yeah,
I did. I thought, like I said, I thought the defense and the footwork was amazing. And you just see in the second round, even after she dropped her, you just see Hill just had timing. She was able to as Claudia Gadelha was trying to come in, she would come kind of with elbows on the inside. She was able to keep hard distance with her jab. The only times Angela Hill would get hit was actually when Angela Hill would come in, and Claudia Gadelha was actually doing a good job with countering. But other than that, in terms of distance, in terms of leading the fight, Angela Hill won that fight from round 2 and 3.
Yeah,
clearly.
Agreed. Can't dispute that at all.
So, judges, what can you do? What can you do?
I think moving forward, Angela Hill she's got some stock behind her now. She proved that she can hang with the upper echelon of the strawweight division. So I hope she gets a fight soon, and I hope she gets a fight to prove again why she still needs to be going for the belt or fighting for the belt eventually.
I agree. Anything else you want to say about these last 2 cards? Anything that stuck out to you?
Everyone, it's again solid fights. Haven't seen fights in a while, so thanks. But they're putting together a lot of really good fights, and I just hope the UFC keeps it up. I will say that Drew Dober, look out for this man in the lightweight division. Just look out for him.
I will also say, if you say Drew Dober, I also say on this last card we just watched, Giga Chikadze. I think that if he can continue to get better with takedown defense, his striking is amazing. And I think he's big for the division too. I think he could be a big player in the featherweight division as well as in Barboza. Yeah,
I agree.
And Dan Ige deserves a top 10 somebody close to the top 10. Yeah.
I don't know anybody who's kind of out there who doesn't have a fight. Do you know anyone or anyone on top of the head you could think?
Sadiq Youssef.
That's a solid fight.
I don't know if Arnold Allen is able to fight right now. But Sadiq Youssef,
he's a British fighter, right?
Yeah,
Arnold Allen, or he's I don't know if he's able to come over here. If Josh Emmett doesn't have anybody, Dan Ige versus Josh Emmett could be an interesting one. Maybe you see him versus Jeremy Stevens.
Yeah, I mean the division also has to go through a couple of changes because Jose Aldo and Frankie Edgar, who's in the division, are not in the division anymore. They moved down to different weight classes.
Yep. So you might, with those 2 people taken out, again, I think you'll see some movement, and then we still have to figure out the weight title champion. How that weight's going to look.
But I think a fight against Arnold Allen, if that's able to happen, or Sadiq Youssef, or Josh Emmett, I think that'd be a great matchup for him.
I agree.
Anything else you want to say on these last two cards? We sign off here.
No. No, not much. Looking forward to the next card. Chilling. Regular guy who watches UFC. What about you?
We're going to be about another week, and then May 30th we will have, or May 31st. Am I not mistaken, right? May 30th.
Let me see. I think it is May 30th.
May 30th, which is to be determined because they're looking to see if they could go to Las Vegas in the Apex Center. But that's the next fight night. And to wrap this up, I'll be doing 2 interviews coming up with people that's going to be fighting on May 30th and on the UFC 250 card. I'll be interviewing Jamal Hill on for the May 30th card. He's going to be fighting Clyde Abaru. I'm going to be interviewing him this week. And then Alex Perez, the flyweight division, who was a number 9 in the flyweight division as well. He's going to be fighting Jussier Formiga at UFC 250. I think that is June 6th. Yes, June 6th. So this channel is going to be seeing 2 interviews with 2 fighters going to be fighting in the next couple of fight nights.
Nice. So, congrats.
Something to look forward to. All right. All right, sir. This has been great coming on here. I know we're trying little things out. The signal's a little bit wonky today too, but it was good talking to you, man.
Hey, man, always good. Always glad to hear from you.
All right. Signing off. My name is Tyrese Simon.
Elijah Jones.
This has been MMA Renegade. Have a nice day, guys.